Hi, welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. You hear all that knocking? That's the upstairs neighbor. They've been doing that all night since I got home. Doing it all night. I woke up again this morning. Um, you know, grabbed my phone, fire trucks or whatever, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, so last night I had to delete a few videos that I posted because of the issue that I thought I had with the rear facing camera. Um, then I was able to figure it out. And on my way home on the bus, there was this lady on there. And I told you, just like the video I showed earlier, when I went to pick up my son, they had this man standing next to me, and he was observed. I guess he must have been like one of those watchers, right? The observers. So what they'll do is that they'll send people, and these are the people who they don't want me to get on video. So once I started recording, once I started realizing I was being targeted, I was just observing it. Like I said, and I look at the patterns, and when they keep doing the same thing over and over, like the young woman that was standing there here, an Hispanic woman, and everybody keep passing, coming towards me, they would look at her and then look at me, look at her and then look at me, look at her, look at me, and he's there, so he's there to see if I'm going to react it. But I didn't react it. I just recorded, just because I know what it is, and they're at the point now where they always get like this, right? So they always get emboldened to do these things, and then when I take up my phone to record, they'll continue to do so. Now, while they're doing this, okay, there is this subliminal theater, street theater that's being played out. And this used to happen. This happens a lot with us as TIs. This happens a lot. But to send us subliminal messages, like threatening messages. So with me being a man, they always use women to try to threaten me, to say, well, we're going to get this woman to accuse you of this and that. Well, an accusation is just what it is. An accusation is an accusation, because no police officer is coming at my door, knocking on my door for a warrant. Why is that? I've been going through this shit for 20 years, and possibly even, I would say, longer, because I had no awareness of what was happening. But my twin brother, he was targeted since the mid 90s. So I know if he was targeted, they were targeting me, just like how they target Ethan. They target my daughter. Okay, both my sons, Bryce also, who, again, I haven't heard from him in over a month, right? Over a month. So, and which is really, really strange, because when he came to visit me, um, to fix his computer, I fixed his computer. Then he came back, and then I had a surprise for him, because I was building a new computer, right? That computer that he came to fix, I built that for him. He, me and him build it together in 2012, 2013, but around, yeah, about 2012, right? The end of 2000, towards the end of 2012. And the fact that he has not even been back, to get the computer, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm not going through this again. I'm not going to continue calling. I'm not, like, no, this is a new year. I'm not doing all that. Okay, I'm not having these people try to run me rampant or ragged, for their evil pleasure. It's not happening. So, like I said, so they'll constantly do threats. Like, then Pam came home yesterday. Right, she comes home. Again, she's in her uniform. She's like, oh, I'm in the hospital. She called me earlier saying, oh, she's in the hospital. She come home, still have on her hospital uniform, right? All over the place, and I'm just like, you know, and this is what they want, right? This is what they want, and they're manipulating her into being more. Hear the knocking, and I say manipulated. Did you hear that? That knock? Yeah, I know. They're manipulating her, and they've been manipulating me for a long time. And as we as TIs, they've been manipulating us for a very long time. Okay, and like I said, they do this covertly, right? And using psychological tactics to entrap you. Okay, and or to pay people giving them whatever jobs, what have you, such money, what have you, in whatever form of payment they do. Because we notice there's a, you know, trove of document on the Guardian website that you can go to, and you can find the documents about the FBI and how they, how they use people, how they pay them, right, as snitches. Okay, and we know that a lot of times, most of the time, it's not because people have committed crime. It's because these are people who they want to control and they want to bring under control. And it doesn't matter if you have money or not, and particularly as a black person, because particularly when we, with the FBI documents from COINTELPRO days about uh, infiltrating the black community and getting rid of the leaders or up and coming people who they think could be up and coming leaders. And I wasn't an activist or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. What matters to them is that when you love yourself as a black person and you love your people as black people and you want to see them elevate, they don't want that. They do not want that. So they will do whatever they can to stop you and I, and I'm talking about not us TIs here, I'm talking about black people, those of us who they feel, right, or who they think is a threat. And it's not a threat when you want yourself and your people who have been oppressed, who have been discriminated against, who have been marginalized by white supremacists and white supremacy in this country, to do what other groups do to elevate themselves and their people. When it comes to black people, they don't want that. No economic equality. As black people, we have to depend on this racist system, racist educated financial system. So they will never allow us as black people to have that economic upward mobility. They won't do it. They will not do it. So, the few black people who may have money, they're not doing anything with that money to empower black people. Okay, they've brought them under their control, using these technologies so that they don't think broader and wider. They think with a narrow-minded, guided way of thinking by those who have created these types of programs, who've created the technology. And what do we know about these technologies, right? We talk about, AI, right? Studies have been done that shows that when it comes to these artificial intelligence, they are just as bigoted as the people who make them. And again, I'm not making this up. You can go research it yourself. Okay? Because as a black person, I understand that everything that is created by a certain group of people is not for the best interest of me or my people. Okay? It is for the oppression. It is for, we may get some benefits, but that's just a side thing from it, right? That's just a side thing. I'll give you an example. When the government brought, and I'm going to have to clear this up, but the government brought crack cocaine into the black community, and the government did bring it, okay? Manipulating young black men who were jobless, poor, right? And they recruited them. Freeway Ricky Ross. Go do the research. Look it up. So when they were locking up black men and black women for using drugs, giving them more time than the young white men who were selling kilos of cocaine, they were giving black men a harsher punishment for just a vial of crack than they would give a white man for being caught with kilos of cocaine. I'm not making this up. Okay? So we gotta understand what's going on. Not just me as a TI and not just the TI community, but also me as a black person, and also for black people have to understand what's going on. Okay? Because we as black people, we are the most forgiving people. And it's not because of slavery, but we've always been like this. We've always been sharing, kind. Just look at our history. Our history is not just based on slavery. That's what they want to teach us. But our history go back thousands of years, okay? Hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. Because the fact is that every human being on this planet today came from black people. And you want to believe me? Go do the research. Where is every version of human hominid was created, was born? Okay? So let's get this straight. The misinformation, the misguidedness. So anyway, back to what I was saying. If I forget and go off into something else. During the crack era, black men and women who were drug users, using crack, was sentenced to years for using crack, right? Now, when you have young white men, particularly young teenage boys, who were overdosing off of meth and fentanyl, what did they do? What did they do? They created a drug so that if there is an overdose, they could be saved. And yes, you may say, well, they use it on black people too now who overdose on that. But again, that wasn't even the original purpose. Because if it was, they would have did something like that for people who overdosed on crack, cocaine, black people. But they didn't, did they? And to be honest, it's not a white person responsible to do that. It's a black person responsible to do that. But because we have been conditioned to not think of those things for ourselves, because we don't love ourselves enough to even to think about that. If we love ourselves enough, we will love each other so that when those things happen, we will do things like that. But we don't. Why? Because again, our psychological conditioning. And it's like when you tell people this, it goes over their head. Why? Because they've been dumbed down. 47% of Americans today read at a 6th grade or below level. That's almost half the damn population. And what we know among black people, particularly young black boys, is that when it comes to reading, they lack the reading skills. So understand what's being done here. Understand not just as a TI, but as me as a black person and as black people, other black TIs and as black black people who watch my video. Understand what's been happening. It's been happening for a very long time. Okay, we see it and we just because we're so busy surviving that we just brush it off and we go about our business. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop doing that. Because like I said, my years as a TI, I understanding what they want to keep me away from. Particularly, like I said, I'll talk about when I start, reading about Coercive Persuasion and really becoming very, very familiar with it and what's happening. And, they would always try to hit me with a denial of service attack online. They would block me from certain sites I couldn't get to, couldn't read. I mean, I can read them now because, the cat's out the bag. They've been exposed. And they hate this. And this is the part of the retaliation, right? Then recently with the New York City police officer who got slain, what have you, they fired his teacher. Okay? Why they fired the teacher? Because they may disagree, what have you. Let me tell you something. If you Google cops who have been in the secret Facebook group spilling all sorts of racist stuff about, oh, we're gonna hunt down black people, we're gonna kill black people, and all this stuff. They don't ever get fired. So it's okay for them to say stuff like that, to hunt us down in the streets, right? Which they've been doing for, you know, since slavery. Okay, and yet, because of a person make a statement about a cop who died, they fired that. If I was that person, I would sue the shit out of the school because there's something called freedom of speech. Okay, these cops exercise it. So I was reading an article last night. I tried to post on Facebook, but they wouldn't let me post on Facebook. You know, I was reading the article and I made a response saying, "Well, what happened to all the cops who go on anti-black rant, talking about, we're gonna hunt these N-word and all this stuff, and they they refused to post my post. I couldn't post it. Every time I hit the post button, it wouldn't post. Why? Because again, whenever they target me, like how they target me yesterday, I get into this warrior mentality, this warrior spirit just takes over, and so so they understand this because they've been, like I said, they observe you, they profile you, and once they see how you are, they will do anything to suppress that warrior spirit within you, that warrior mindset. They got to repress it, right? They got to get rid of it. They don't want it in society. Like you're saying, these are the elites, the wealthy elites who have created systems, programs to where we as people at the bottom will fight against each other while our condition don't improve. And this goes for if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, what have you. They don't want us united. They'll only unite you. They will only get you to unite if they want to attack somebody like me, because I'm the villain. So they gotta. I'm the distraction. You know what I'm saying? So this is what they gotta do. So you gotta understand that and realize what's really going on, what's happening, and we can look around, and again, you'd be surprised. Not wouldn't be surprised, but because I told you, 47% of Americans are basically damn illiterate, right? But the misinformation, the lies that they've been taught, that I see people spew online, it's incredible. And when you come with them with the truth, they complain to Facebook, then they get you banned from Facebook, right? And it's ridiculous. It's But anyway, yeah. So they I was coming home. They had this lady on the bus. She had a red bag. Another lady was sitting down again doing the observing thing. One was sitting next side of her. She kept looking at me, doing some finger movement or have you, looking at the lady's bag and then looking looking at me and looking at the window. And I started doing the same thing back to her too. And except I started doing the reverse peace sign, And the woman sitting next to her, she was looking at me, and I was like, yeah, I know what y'all doing. I know what y'all doing, but I'm not gonna ignore y'all because y'all want me to. Nope, not gonna work. And like I said, just because I react to what they do, be just as how they react to what I do. Remember, it's vice versa. It's not one way, because I can get them to react how I want them to react. Okay, and they'll try to say, well, he's guilty of this and that, guilty of this and that. But like I said, if you drug an individual, right, to create a mindset that you can easily condition, anybody will react in any way. And particularly if you've been studying it like I have. See, I'm not running in fear. The fear-based programming shit, I took that out of my mind. I did that. Okay? Research. Understanding what's going on. Learn about psychology. I had to do that. Buying all these psychological books and stuff like that. Dark psychology. I had to do that. Okay? I didn't pray to no God. Alright? When they started using the psychologists and psychiatrists, so that they won't take me on as a patient, right? Because again, they don't want these things documented, and they know that I know what I'm talking about, so they definitely don't want them documenting me in terms of what it is I've said that was done to me and continue to be done. So what do? They just remove those people. So now you're left by yourself, as I am, as a TI, still figuring shit out, you know, and I can't be my own therapist, but I have to. And I hope you guys hearing already, like throwing shit on the floor as I'm talking about stuff. You're walking back and forth. You can hear that, and this has been done purposely. It's done purposely, right? But again, it doesn't bother me. I just know what it is that they're doing. Unless I'm, it's nighttime, I'm trying to fall asleep, and they're like doing this shit. It gets annoying. But yeah, so I have to do that. Just as a TI, you have to do that. You have to do the work, because no one. I could do my best to try and help us and help you as a TI, but that's it. That's what I can do. We are separated, and the reason why we are separated because they don't want us coming together. They don't want us united. It's the same tactic they use on us. They've been using on the populace, right? And right here in America. So, you know what I'm saying? You got to understand these things, and it's very hard when you get around other TIs and they've been programmed and manipulated. It's very hard to say, well, who's perp from perp. But as you go along, as you study, you'll learn. You'll learn and you'll see. Okay? Anyway, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.